Big city mayors are rebuking the Biden administration over the migrant crisis, but whose fault is it? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, all railing against the Biden administration over the migrant crisis. They are going on television, doing press conferences, saying that they're not getting the help they need from the federal government. They're overwhelmed. They have strained resources. They're at their wits' end due to the migrant crisis. Now, as I asked from the very beginning, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? I read somewhere that New York has been a migrant magnet, a sanctuary city since 1989. It's now 2023. I've not heard Eric Adams say that he no longer desires to be a sanctuary city. And as a matter of fact, he ran on being a sanctuary city. When he was asked, hey, Eric Adams, do you plan on keeping New York City as a sanctuary for migrants? Yes, I do. We're going to continue to be a sanctuary for the migrants. Okay, cool. Well, you got what you asked for. You have 150,000 of them in 1 year, and you have strained resources, nowhere to put them, but you ran on that. You asked for it. If you don't want all these migrants, maybe stop being a sanctuary city. Same thing for Chicago. Now, I'm not really sure about Denver, but I don't think their liberal guy, Mike Johnston, is really against migrants coming into the city. Maybe he's against not getting the cash from the federales that he would desire. Now, before I go any further, we have video. And if you want to see any of this in full, link will be in the box. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Now to the immigration crisis. Border crossings are on track to break records in December. And now a coalition of Democratic mayors are demanding federal help as buses.
I mean, come on, man. This is an invasion. This is an invasion. Let me just go back a little bit before I cut them off.
Coalition of Democratic mayors are demanding federal help as busloads of migrants arrive on their doorsteps. ABC's Trevor Ault joins us now with more. Trevor, good morning.
Good morning, So this is the Port Authority in Manhattan. This is where these buses are now required to drop off the migrants at specific times with specific notice. But the mayor here and several other leaders of really prominent cities say they need substantial federal help as this problem keeps growing.
December's now on track to have the highest number of Border Patrol apprehensions ever, according to Customs and Border Protection data. The agency reporting on average nearly 10,000 apprehensions a day over the last week. And this morning,
now let's pause right here. 10,000 apprehensions a day. Now, those are the ones that they catch. How about the so-called gotaways that they don't catch? 10,000 a day. This is an invasion from all over the world. People like Stephen A. Smith, the sports analyst over at ESPN, talk about, oh, it's racist to have a law against being an illegal alien in Texas. It's racist against Latino brothers and sisters. Meanwhile, 70% of the so-called migrants in New York City who have ventured into the Big Apple over the past year and a half are African. 70%. So, I mean, people got to understand what's really going on.
And this morning, a trio of mayors from New York City, Chicago, and Denver are all calling for federal support responding to the national immigration crisis, accusing Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott of cruel and inhumane politics, busing migrants across the country.
Why is it his fault? This is not Greg Abbott's fault. Listen, the border is a federal issue. So the federal government, the Biden administration, should be the ones who are taking care of these people, but they're not. They're just letting Texas and Arizona and New Mexico, California to a lesser extent, they're letting these states become overwhelmed with migrants from all over the world. They said they caught migrants from 150 different countries. Okay, it's not just Mexico, all over the world. This is a federal issue. The federales are not helping. So what is Texas to do with 10,000 people a day? Just let them stay right there, Eagle Pass, El Paso. They don't have the room, and you guys sanctuary cities, so you should welcome them with open arms. Don't try to accuse him of doing a wrong thing when you guys invited by the status of your city and your state.
We're looking at about $160 million of potential costs going into next year's budget. That's almost 10% of our entire city budget.
New York City's mayor issuing an executive order requiring advance notice for buses dropping off migrants in the city, now only allowing their arrival weekday mornings between 8:30 and noon. This as officials Wednesday shuttled hundreds of people to overcrowded shelters throughout the city.
To be clear, this is not stopping people from coming, but about ensuring the safety of migrants and making sure they can arrive in a coordinated and orderly way.
You should stop them from coming. And you know what the best way to do this would be? It'd be to shut the border off. Call the federales, call Biden, and say, hey, man, let's build the wall. Build the wall. Continue to build Trump's wall. I know that the Biden administration sold off the materials that were down there that were supposed to be for building the wall, and a lot of the money got reallocated maybe to Ukraine. I have no idea. So Ukraine, Israel, etc., Taiwan can have better security than we have. You got to ask yourself, is this being done on purpose? Are we being replaced? Is it to create a new slave class, a new underclass, the same way they have in China, India, etc.? Are we trying to be like that? Are we trying to go back before the 1860s in this country? What's really going on? I digress.
The mayor's office says more than 7,000 asylum seekers have arrived in New York City in just the last 2 weeks. Earlier this week, hundreds of asylum seekers were flown to the Northeast, forced to stop in Philadelphia due to bad weather. On Wednesday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken visiting Mexico, meeting with the president there to discuss the historic levels of migration. A source familiar with the talks says the U.S. is hoping to find ways to convince Mexico to do more, to ramp up immigration enforcement on its side of the border, and discuss incentives to encourage people to stay in Mexico rather than cross into the U.S.
Look, Mexico can't really do too much because Mexico just kind of caught in the middle. I'm not even blaming them because it's not even Mexicans coming across. It's the whole world coming across. And Mexico is dealing with the crisis because they're coming up from the Darien Gap, Panama, from Central America. They're coming up there on foot, on trains, vehicles. You got the narcos allegedly facilitating this. You got coyotes who are not narco affiliated facilitating this. Mexico is being overrun by these people as well. And but the reason is because the Biden administration has left the border open. That's what's going on. Mexico is basically the front porch of America at this point.
The talks come as another large caravan of thousands of people slowly advances north through Mexico, headed toward the southern border. The leaders of the group, reportedly made up of people fleeing Central America, are carrying banners which read, "Exodus from poverty."
Wait a minute. Wait just 1 minute. Central America, I see somebody look like came straight from, I see somebody look like they came from Central Africa. Ain't no, did you say Central Africa? Is that what you meant to say? That's not Central America. Okay. I mean, what in the world's going on here? Like, why we got to play games? Okay. I know Manute Bol when I see it. I know a 7 foot tall NBA basketball player when I see it. This ain't no Mexican. This ain't no Central American. This ain't anybody from Oaxaca, Guatemala, or nowhere like that. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
From poverty.
And Republicans in Congress are trying to require a strengthened border security package be tied to any further funding for Ukraine. We do know Senate negotiators met on Capitol Hill on Wednesday trying to hammer out a deal. Eva.
So there we have it. Now we have the actual brief press conferences from Eric Adams and also from Brandon Johnson. Let's check it out.
We're seeing the erosion of the quality of life that we've improved on in such a short period of time of this administration. And we have been impacted. For many months, we were able to keep the visualization of this crisis from hitting our streets, but we have reached a breaking point. We're no longer able to do that because of the volume in numbers. Just last week, we had 3,900 people that arrived here. We are averaging anywhere from 2,500 to close to 4,000 a week. And if you do the math, you see that's 8,000 every 2 weeks, potentially 16,000 a month that we.
But Texas is getting 10,000 a day. So relatively speaking, you're doing pretty well. And you have the resources more than Eagle Pass, Texas, El Paso, Texas, Brownsville, Texas, etc. But I digress.
We must feed, clothe, house, educate children, and all the services that you would give a normal adult. And we're seeing that play out on our streets of New York. And that is what the breaking point looks like, what we are experiencing right now.
All right, let's go to Brandon Johnson, Chicago mayor.
In Chicago, anywhere else in the country, the public good is already stressed. Whether it's our transportation system, our healthcare system, our education system, all of these systems are already stretched to meet the demands of families who have been here. Over the past 7 months, it's been an incredible strain on every aspect of city services.
Okay, Brandon Johnson, Eric Adams, Mike Johnston, Denver mayor. I hear what you guys are saying. If the solution is very easy as I close, the solution is to, number one, stop being a sanctuary city in Chicago, New York, Denver. Stop being sanctuary state in Colorado, Illinois, New York State. Stop being a sanctuary place and stop attracting them. And then call on the federales to not just send you some money, because what you're asking for is money. But rather than doing that, just stop the problem. See, what you're doing right now as I close, you're asking the government for more mops to mop up the water in a house that's flooded, rather than asking the government to turn off the water so there won't be anything to mop up. Doesn't that make more sense? Why keep mopping up a mess that's going to continuously be created and will never stop, versus telling the people who are responsible for spilling the water to stop spilling the water? I mean, which solution makes the most sense to you? I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on these big city mayors, Denver, Chicago, New York, asking for more money from the federales to deal with the migrant crisis? Is that the right way to go? Or do you think it should just have the Biden administration shut the border off and stop all the illegal aliens, migrants, asylum seekers, whatever you want to call them, stop them from coming to the country in the first place? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. The solution is very simple, but is it more important to get the money? Do we want more money than is needed to take care of these people for other needs, to pad our pockets? Or do you just not want to appear to be, quote unquote, racist or a right-wing person or insensitive? Like, what is going on here? Why can't we get to the actual root of the problem and solve it there? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.